Who wants to be immortal? Not me. I think we all can probably agree that forever might be longer than we want to be in this human life of struggle and joy and sadness and pain. And yet, the human life is so short and ephemeral. I think we all can agree that to live a long time is glorious as long as this body stays healthy and strong. And so I wanted to drop in here today into my community to really drop in some key alignment points that can help you to keep your body strong and healthy, or bring it back into alignment if you've already lost some of your resilience or mobility. And so when we think of the components of our body, the muscles and the bones, and how they all amazingly work together to protect the internal organs that keep us alive, and then we realize that really this physical body is mostly actually held together by the energy moving through it. And if we spend a lot of time sitting, and especially if we're sitting in poor postural alignment, then the energy gets constricted and bound and it can't move through us. So we're going to do some really simple movements and alignment principles. I'm going to show you standing mostly, but then at the end, I want to show you seated, because we all spend way more time seated than our bodies are designed for. Isn't it amazing? Let's just take a breath into the recognition of how amazing it is to be in a human body. Taking a couple breaths before we go into like detailed alignment cues and things that might get your brain bound up. Let's just take a few breaths into recognition and gratitude for each part of this amazing body, breathing all the way down into the toes. Oh, and for those of you that have not tuned in to Kiralani of Trigong before, I am here in this body, on this planet, with a passion for self-awareness, physical, joyful experience of life through the lens of an open-hearted spiritual awareness. And I bring a gift of transmission, a guide to healers to step into their mastery. Continue to breathe into your body, saying hello to your knees. Let's just start to move a little bit as we give recognition to the knees, these amazing and very delicate sometimes joints of our body. So really soft, slow knee bends, warming up the body. We're going to get into postural cues in a moment. And knees, actually, we're going to actually, as we bend and straighten, think about, are your knees aligned? And I think we'll go into a little bit more of that later in the class of how to get your knees really aligned. But just for the moment, recognize how important it is to bend and straighten the knees, because the knees don't actually get blood supply, and they need to be lubricated with movement. The only way that the fluid in the knees will continue to be fresh and vibrant and fluid and moving is by moving. And we put a lot of stress on our knees. So soft, subtle, fluid movement is really helpful to keeping the joints of the knees active. And we need our knees to be able to walk, to be able to run, to be able to dance and play. So send love to your knees. You see how I'm kind of pulsing with my hands? I wasn't really meaning to direct you in this. But now, if you're not already pulsing with your hands, slow these knee bends down and just send love to your knees. I've been having so much fun playing within my Healing Warriors community, which is my paid membership. And I really wanted to bring some of the juiciness out here into my public community. So soak it up. I'm really calling in more community building. If you would like to join in some community building with me, I'm going to be opening up a space for healers to share on Sundays. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to join in with that. Oh, I'm starting to feel like the knees are getting enough love and nourishment and lubrication that they're softening a little bit. And we can never do too much. But let's move on to the hips and pelvis now. Continue to do the bending and straightening of. Now I'm just inviting a lubrication of the joints. So I'm still bending and straightening my knees. Sorry for my loose, flowy shirt. I'm still bending and straightening my knees, but I'm thinking now of the pelvis coming down and up. So just let this be organic at first, finding the fluidity in your pelvis. We're going to talk about postural positioning, but it's important to just get the joints feeling fluid and open before we start trying to play with new positions, because we get a little bound up in the mental piece when we start doing the positioning. Okay, now add the shoulders. So I'm still going to do these bending and straightening, the sitting down and rising up with the pelvis, and then just rolling the shoulders, and let the hands and fingers participate. One of the principles of Tai Chi that we were playing with together in my paid class this morning is that everything moves together. If one part moves, all the parts move. And this is true even when we think we are isolating one part of the body, it's reverberating through the entire body. The more we can get the energy moving through all of the body, the more we're going to have renewal, regeneration, youthful vibration. That sense of being immortal, that in China means that you live a long time in a healthy, strong body. Oh, let's just do a little shaking to wake up any parts of the body that maybe weren't already woken up. And now we're going to focus most of the postural awareness in today's class in the pelvis. The pelvis is really the key to unlocking healthy posture, because whether we're standing, this is like the base of the chakra system, right? There is a chakra, there are chakras in the legs, there are chakras underneath the body, in the energetic body connecting to the earth. But the 7 main chakras, the base is in the center of the pelvis. This is the foundation of our postural alignment. So whether you're standing or sitting, the position of the pelvis is going to affect the entire position of the torso. And so if we're like in the military uprightness of, I just need to stand up straight, and we try to be straight and rigid, we're actually locking our joints. So let's come into an awareness, a more refined awareness of the pelvis now. And I'm keeping my knees soft and bent. The pelvis is like a bowl. Next time I'll wear a more yoga-y shirt, so I'm not having to do this silly thing of tucking my shirt into my pants here, or I'll just hold it up. So the pelvis is going to rock here. The pelvis is like a bowl. So think of when you reach your seat back, you're spilling the bowl out the front. When you reach your tailbone forward, it's spilling out the back. We're going to do a little bit of these as wide as your pelvis moves. I'm really exaggerating it. And there's some tightness here in my lower back when I really go to the edge of my mobility. So rather than trying to go as far as you see me going, make these movements just to the edge of where you feel that stretch, where you feel the tightness. It may be that you're more open than me and you can go farther. It may be that you need to keep the movement really soft and subtle. You can be getting the benefit with just a really slight, like it could be that you can hardly see it. And that's where you need to be in terms of this mobilizing of the hip joint. For me, the hip joints, I say hip joints, and I'm not just talking about this ball and socket joint right here. I'm also talking about the sacroiliac joint, which is like a V, like this, at the back of the pelvis. The sacrum is a big flat bone, which is actually 7 fused vertebrae. And each one of those 7 fused vertebrae has a joint, which is a very subtly moving joint. It's not a big movement like the hip socket, the ball and socket joint in the hip can make big circles. The sacroiliac joint, however, is hugely affecting the health of your posture, your entire spine. This is the base of your spine, and it's connecting to the hip bone and it should be a joint. It should have some mobility, even though it's subtle. Okay, let's now find where the postural alignment is here. So like I said earlier, if you reach your hips all the way back, you're spilling energy out of the front of your pelvic bowl. If you tilt it all the way forward, you're spilling energy out of the back. So you want it to be right in the center. Bring your hands to the top of your pelvis and come into those rocks again and find the place where you feel centered. So in this place, the tailbone is going straight down to the earth. You can imagine your energetic tail anchoring into the earth. And the pubic bone in the front is also lining up down to the earth. The sacrum is flat and perpendicular to the earth. So now coming into that sense, notice the center of your pelvis. Just bring your awareness into the center of the pelvis. There are actually 5 bones that make up the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is the muscle, but the muscle at the base of the pelvis is attached to 5 bones. This is your tailbone in the center of the back, your 2 sit bones, which are the base of those hip bones we were talking about connecting to the sacrum. And then the pubic bone in the front is actually 2 fused bones. So tune into the muscles between the genitals and the anus that are connecting to these 5 points of your pelvis. Take a deep breath and feel that you can open, like blossoming your pelvis towards the earth, spreading those 5 bones away from each other as you inhale, breathing down into the pelvic floor. Exhale and engage those pelvic muscles and feel the energy rising up like a jet of fire through the central channel. Let's do that a few times, and I'm going to add some arms. This can help a lot when you're working with subtle muscles. If you also work with bigger ones, remember the Tai Chi principle, one part moves and all the other parts move. So inhale, opening the hands, palms towards the floor. Feel this action in the center of the pelvis. Exhale, pull the energy in and up as you contract the muscles at the core of the pelvis, lifting the energy up through the central channel, up through the crown of the head. Making bigger arm movements. Exhale down, relaxing the center of the pelvis, opening the space between the bones of the pelvis. Inhale, expanding, exhale. I did the breath backwards, so let's do that again a little bit more smoothly. Exhale up through the center. Inhale, reaching up, and as you blossom the pelvis out, blossom the hands out, feeling the connection between the crown opening and the earth channel opening from the root. So we open from above and below. Exhale, connecting back to the earth. Contract the pelvis inward and rise up through the crown. Inhale, open the pelvis, open your blossom of your root to connect to the earth energy, receiving energy from the earth. Exhale, contracting, drawing energy up like a straw through the central channel. Inhale, opening the crown as you open the root again. Let's bring the hands through the center because that makes a little more sense. As you exhale, compress from above and below, compressing up through the central channel as you shower down from above. Inhale, open to the earth. Exhale, contracting from below to raise that earth energy up through the crown, connect to the heavens. Exhale, contracting the pelvic floor, feeling the energy inside of you growing stronger. Good. Let's just come to center now and find that balance, finding a place where you really feel like your pelvic floor is just engaged enough to keep that rising up energy in your core. And you can relax your body onto it. And now let's just work with the wings a little bit. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, floating down. Once we get really skilled with keeping our pelvis in alignment, then we want to start working with stacking on top of it. So having that pelvis in a really healthy position allows the energy to move. And then as we extend through the crown of the head, there's a connection between that sacrum going down and the base of the skull rising up, the crown of the head extending, the chin draws slightly back, and then feel that your breath lifts from under the shoulders. The shoulder blades float down the back, and there's an opening across the front of the chest. So these basic alignment principles, and we can get into a lot more detail, like I was saying, around the knees. We want to always have these equal and opposite actions in order to keep our energy aligned. And then really now feeling, now that we've come into this postural awareness, let's come back into the breath and feel where the breath is flowing to in your body. That maybe it wasn't flowing effectively to before. And let's allow the breath to come into the arms. Inhale, expanding the space. Exhale, coming together. Feeling how much more energy is moving through your spine right now. Inhale, energy up through the spine as you open the space under the arms. Exhale, feeling how your body is receiving more energy to all parts. And let's close the practice by reaching the arms wide, bringing the feet together, drawing down the heavens. And just pause and drift for a moment. Take a small step back and bow to the sacred ground of your practice. And I bow to you. As I mentioned, I'm going to offer a really brief recap in a seated position. So if you have a back on your chair, you want to come away from the chair, but this is really valuable if you find yourself sitting or driving a lot, to take a little bit of time to pull your hips back and wide and make space for that sacroiliac joint. And then you can feel the pelvic floor engaging to lift you up through the crown, and upright posture can become totally relaxed and natural. Now, if you would like to be learning more of this on a daily, weekly basis, I invite you to ask me more about the Healing Warrior community. But I am really excited to offer a Sunday service this upcoming Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be opening a Zoom room for healers to come in and share in community, to give and receive healing, insight, wisdom. So I really would love to see some of you there. So let me know, as I scoot myself a little closer, let me know if you'd like to be a part of this Sunday service. I would love to have you there. And you are so welcome, Rosie. Wonderful to see you here. Thank you. And I'll be sharing a link in my Treegong Healing Ministries Facebook group. But if you're not on Facebook, if you're watching me on YouTube, reach out and let me know if you'd like to be a part of the community. I'm going to do it on Zoom so that we all can join, regardless of what social media platforms we do or do not participate in. And I hope to see some of you there on Zoom with me so that we can drop in a little deeper to what is alive for you at this time, how I can be of service to you, and how maybe we can all be of service to each other. So I'm so glad you enjoyed it, Robin. Thank you for dropping in this morning. It's so good to be here with all of you, just in sacred practice, and I look forward to more of this. So until we meet again, keep on shining. And I know you've all been seeing some of my new exciting opportunities that I've been taking advantage of and inviting you into. I wanted you all to know that Treegong is not going away, and I'm going to make another video soon to talk about how Treegong partnering with the Freedom Era is going to bring even more amazing, juicy, healing goodness to the greater community. So thank you so much for all of your support. And remember, you are needed and valued, fully embodied in your power, in your wisdom, in your beauty and unique gifts, and you deserve all the love. Until we meet again, namaste.